Hi, this is Mark Williams with Circle of the Dark Mother. Today I'm going to do another reading from the Embracing Lilith myth that is in my book, Embracing Lilith. This is a myth that is put together from all of the different stories of Lilith from basically every source I could find, all put together into one sort of cohesive myth. Remember, it's a myth. It's not meant to be, this is the way it happened. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. This is part 3. There are 2 other parts on the YouTube. So if you haven't listened to the other 2, you should go back and do that. Today we'll be doing chapter 2. Then the Lord God, Yahweh Elohim, made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. Genesis 2:22. After a time, my rage calmed, but I found I had no desire to return to my previous form. The predator I had become, with hair as dark as a starless sky, skin as milky as pure moonlight, sharp fangs, black talons, eyes which could see in darkness, and huge black wings, suited to who I had now become. I felt more solid and more alive than I had been since my creation. Living in Nod in its eternal twilight, I found myself as Lilith, mistress of the night. I vowed to shed the role of Adam's wife, but something in me couldn't let go. Yahweh Elohim created me to be his partner. Maybe he would finally see our parity when he met this darker form. Maybe he would value me and be able to join with me in equality. With my wings, I no longer had to speak the secret name of God to fly. Instead, I rose up into the sky under my own power and headed back toward Eden. The trip seemed longer than when I had fled, but I'm sure it was because I now overflowed with questions instead of rage. What would Adam think of my new form? Would he accept me? Would I finally be valued? What about Yahweh Elohim? Would my parents love me and accept me instead of wanting to destroy me? I hated to admit it, but I truly cared what they thought. I was nervous as I touched down in Eden, just east of where Adam and I had dwelt, not far from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I decided not to boldly enter the clearing, but to first see what Adam was doing, so I could time my arrival and how I presented myself to him. My wings folded behind me, and I slipped between the trees and hid behind a large rose bush, peering out to where I expected to find my estranged husband. But he wasn't there. Where could he have gone? I stood there for a time waiting for him to return, but I heard his voice in the distance. It sounded faint, but he was speaking. I wondered if father or mother had come to walk with him in the garden. Maybe he was upset and feeling lonely. I followed his voice and realized he must be at the bank of one of the rivers flowing into Eden. There was a shallow area where we would play in the heat of the afternoon. I headed in that direction. As I got closer, not only did I hear Adam's voice, but I heard someone else. I was confused. I had never heard any voices except those of Mother, Father, Adam, and the angels. And of course, myself. This didn't sound like any of them, and it had a quality I could only call human. I crept up as close as I could get, and my mouth dropped open. There was Adam sitting on the river's edge, but in the water I saw a woman. Who was she? And how did she come to Eden? As far as I knew, Adam and I were the only 2 humans. After my initial shock, I noticed something else strange. Excuse me. Adam seemed different. He still looked the same, but something about him was missing. I used all my new senses I had gained since my transformation and really looked at both Adam and this woman with whom Adam conversed. It took some time, but I realized Adam and this woman were actually 2 parts of the same being. She was his female essence, separated from his spiritual body and given her own form. The thought horrified me. To be split apart and separated seemed wrong. It seemed like diminishing oneself, becoming less. I watched them for a while, and my horror turned to anger. I had been replaced. It would have been bad enough to be replaced by another woman, but I was replaced by Adam's inner female aspect. He was getting exactly what he wanted, a companion he could dominate and control, since she was only a reflection of his totality. In my mind, it was a travesty of justice. I was cast aside so he could get everything he wanted. And what about Father and Mother God? One of them must have granted this abomination. Adam was too stupid and self-absorbed to work such magic. I felt completely abandoned. In my anger, I pushed through the foliage and burst onto the riverbank, screaming obscenities as I emerged. The woman shrieked. Adam turned and looked at me. At first, I could tell he didn't recognize me, but as understanding dawned, his first glance shone with lust. Something about my new form drew him to me, and he wanted to join with me like never before. I felt elated. Maybe I could win Adam back and be accepted in my rightful place beside him. But then the mewling little twat opened her mouth and cried to Adam, "What is that thing?" And Adam turned toward her with concern on his face. "Stay behind me, Eve. This thing is of no concern to us. I'll protect you from it." It? He had the audacity to call me thing and it? I was his wife, his equal. I glared at Adam. "What do you mean, no concern? I'm your wife. I'll destroy the bitch and claim what is mine." I surprised myself with my fury and how badly I wanted Adam. I had thought myself merely upset at being made to feel less, but something in me truly loved him and wanted to be with him. In retrospect, I had hoped he would be upset at my departure and come find me, so we could fix our relationship and become whole again. "I don't know what you are, but you're no longer my wife," Adam said as he walked over, putting his arms around the woman he called Eve. "You've been replaced and are no longer wanted in Eve." I don't know what showed on my face, but I assume it was rage. Inside I was crushed, my heart broken, and I knew I was completely abandoned. Wordlessly, I took to the air and returned to my new home in Nod without looking back even once. Hopefully you enjoyed that. This is chapter 2, the third installment of this myth, and I will be reporting more in the future. Remember to like and subscribe if you like our content.